Welcome back to Virginia This Morning. Listen to this. May is Lyme Disease Awareness Month, and author Karen Gloyer is here to share her own story of survival as well as her new book. Nick, the no-good Icky tick, can help teach children and families learn about the disease and really how to stay safe when you're outdoors this spring and summer. Karen, always a pleasure. Nice to see you again. Karen, first of all, what is Lyme disease?
Lyme disease is a disease that is carried mainly by ticks, but it can also be carried by mosquitoes. The symptoms, the traditional symptom would be a bullseye rash anywhere on your body, but unfortunately only about 50% of people who get Lyme disease actually get the bullseye rash. I have had Lyme disease, I think, for 18 years, and I never had a bullseye rash. Therefore, it was hard to diagnose. I wasn't diagnosed for 14 years.
Wow. Do you remember being bitten, or do you remember the time that you were out in the woods?
I do. I actually was living in Connecticut at the time and working for Connecticut Audubon Society. And I was out in the woods a fair amount with that job. And I remember being bitten. And we actually, in Connecticut, you actually send the tick in to the state to see if the tick actually had Lyme disease, and they can analyze it. At that point, they didn't think that the tick had Lyme disease, but they weren't sure. So I went on doxycycline for a couple weeks, and that was that. We just went on with our life, but I ended up having what they thought was mono 5 times.
What they thought mono for 5 times. Now, Karen, tell me, what were some of the symptoms that you went through?
Extreme fatigue, running a low-grade temperature, like of 99.5 on an ongoing basis, and just the fatigue is the hardest part of it. And then when I got very, very sick in 2011, I actually lost my ability to read and write. I couldn't remember how to take a shower. It was almost like I had Alzheimer's disease. And what they ended up finding out is at that point, the Lyme disease had crossed the blood-brain barrier. And so it was actually in my brain, causing inflammation in the brain, which was making me basically like a 3-year-old as far as knowing what I was doing and what was going on. It was very, very scary.
What was the treatment like, Karen?
Well, at first they didn't know what was going on. They thought that I just had depression, so they hospitalized me for depression, and I didn't get any better because that wasn't what was going on. It wasn't until my counselor recommended a doctor up in Bethesda, Maryland, Dr. Hedaya, and Dr. Hedaya is a functional medicine doctor, so his background is in psychiatry, neurology, and endocrinology. And he ran every test in the book and found that I had had Lyme disease as well as one of the other tick-borne illnesses called babesia, which is the tick-borne form of malaria.
It sounds like you're doing much better now, and you want to take a positive step in toward really making sure no one else gets Lyme disease as well. Tell us about this book.
Yes, Nick the No Good Icky Tick is a book that I wrote when I was undergoing treatment the first time that I had Lyme. It came to me in a dream that I wanted to write a children's book to help other people not have to go through what I was going through. There are so few resources out there for children and families to discuss Lyme disease that I just decided this was going to be the book. And my dogs had been a huge help to me during that first go-round of Lyme. And so that's why Chowser, my dog, is actually in the book. And you've actually met Chowser at the Pet Expo. He does exist. And from there, I ended up going to a local publisher, and they picked up the book. And 2 years later, it was actually in print.
I've read that this summer is going to be very bad when it comes to Lyme disease. Do we know why?
Yes, it's an interesting story. If you noticed in the fall, there were a lot more oak trees, little saplings and acorns, and because of that, it was a bumper crop of acorns, and the white-footed mouse, which also carries Lyme disease, they feed on that, so therefore there were more of them. So that is in part why the Lyme disease rates will be going up. But not only that, but also the summer the winter was not a very cold winter, so it didn't kill off a lot of things, so that's a secondary reason.
We have something of a lime challenge. What is it? We have about 30 seconds to get through this. What is it?
So, because May is Lyme Disease Awareness Month, we're going to do the Lyme Disease Challenge, you and I.
Where's Bill Bevins?
There's Bill Bevins. There he is. I see him. So what we're going to do, William Shatner has done this as well.
Oh, really?
Celebrities, yes.
Did you?
Sure.
You didn't happen to bring any Coronas, did you?
No,
no?
Not yet.
All right.
Let's go back for that. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a bite out of lime, L-Y-M-E.
L-Y-M-E. Let's do it. Okay, listen. Karen Gloyer, it is such a pleasure. And I'm so glad you're feeling much better, though. I really am. We'll get you a little napkin right there, too. All right. And we'll get you a Corona to wash that down. Karen, thanks so much. For more information on Karen and the book, I got some lime in my teeth right here. We're going to go to WTBR.com/VTM.